Hello and welcome to episode 8 of We Bought a Boat. Coming up in this episode, we sail the boat over to the Medway. We stop off in Queen Borough Harbour for the night. And the rigger comes down to check our rigging. So we'll start off with our trip to Queen Borough Harbour. We set off on Saturday morning at around 11:30 on the high water, following Ian out. Good day, good bit of wind, sort of blowing between 10 and 15, gusting up to about 18, 19, sometimes 20. Again, only on the Genoa, because as you know from the previous episode, we have an issue with our rigging, so we're not using the main at the moment. And later on in the episode, you'll see we've had the rigger down, and I'll run you through what he looked at, what he's told us about what needs to be replaced and repaired on the boat. But we'll start off with the trips to Queen Borough Harbour. So we set off up the estuary, out of Benfleet Creek, following Ian. As I said, good wind, so we got out the creek, cleared the creek. We didn't have to go all the way over to South MP at this time because we were at high water, so we could cut across to the Medway, which you can see here on the map, our track across. But we got the Genoa out, and we're following Ian, but very quickly we realised we were considerably quicker than Ian. Ian's got two masts, he's got a mezzen and a main, so he had his mezzen sail up, as you can see here, and his Genoa, but we were still much quicker than him. So a quick call to Ian, and he basically pointed us in the direction we were heading and said just crack on. So off we went. So here's some shots of us under sail on the way over to the Medway entrance. Went really well, sailed beautifully. We were with the tide, so we timed it really well. We had decent wind, so we were doing between 5 and 6 knots, which was just perfect. I couldn't get my autopilot, my auto tiller working on the way over, which was a shame, and that then prompted a bit of an issue. It was just me and my mum, as you can see on this trip. But when it came to furling in the sail, when we made it across the estuary, Thames estuary, to the Medway entrance, what we needed to do was we needed to furl in. We actually needed to go under the motor, turn around and go back to follow Ian in, because we'd never been over before, so we wanted to follow Ian in to Queensborough. So as I was saying, as we started to approach the entrance to the Medway, the plan was that we'd furl in the Genoa, put the engine on, motor back round to Ian, because we were probably a good half a mile in front of him, motor around behind Ian, follow him in, and then into Queen Borough Harbour and onto the mooring buoy for the night. That then came the first problem of the day. So because I didn't have my auto tiller working, my mum wasn't particularly confident to take the tiller at that stage. She had a little go earlier on in the day, as you can see in the video, but she wasn't confident to do it while we were bringing the sails in. So what I've found is that my furler line is very, very skinny, and at the moment I don't have self-tailing winches. So in essence what happened was, when we put the line around the winch, it was too small for the winch to really grip it, and then I made a mistake. So I'm going to put my hands up. So I made a mistake and forgot the procedure. So obviously on the courses, the competent crew, your day skipper, they teach you about bringing sails in, how to bring them in, what to do with the boat, blah 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 blah, and I missed key step number 1, which was to put the engine on. And what basically happened was Mum was struggling to pull the rope in by herself, so I'm now not only using one rope line on one side to release the Genoa so Mum can pull it in, but also tillering the boat at the same time, and it got a little bit sketchy, and the sail started flapping and we couldn't get it in. So I had to kind of let go of the tiller. The boat started moving. I started pulling in the furler line with Mum. We got it in, but it was a bit of a mess up front. It all got a bit tangled up, but we got it in, got the motor on, and now you can see we're following Ian into Queen Borough Harbour, and we're gonna jump on a mooring buoy. We're going to tie up to Ian, which again turned out to be a bit of a mistake, because it was a very windy night. But anyway, it was a pleasant evening. I've got a couple of shots here once we're up, and we've got the water taxi over, which is a great thing about Queen Borough. You don't have to use a dinghy, they just send a water taxi over. It was £17 for the night, so really fair price. They said, and that includes the water taxi. So the water taxi comes over, brings you to the jetty, and you walk off, and we went off and had a nice meal in the pub. I've got a couple of quick shots here. So we went over in a bit of a flotilla, so there were 6 boats from Benfleet Yacht Club that went. And we got invited over to Roller Coaster, which is a great big 40-footer, because 2 of the guys on Roller Coaster had their birthdays on the Saturday, so we went down for a bit of cakes. There's a shot here of them having their cake, so that was very nice. And then we all went to the pub, had a lovely meal in the Flying Dutchman. Highly recommend, the food there is excellent. And then back to the boats, and we sat on the boats, had a lovely evening, a few drinks, chatting with Ian and Kate, his partner. And then we set off the next day. But it was a very different story on the way back. So we had 20 to 30 knots of wind. I would say it was averaging between 20 and 24, gusting 29, 30. I think Ian said that he had a reading of about 32 was his maximum. There was also a bit of traffic around, so we were dodging round container ships and things coming in down the main channel. So it was interesting, but I managed to get my auto tiller working. Which was brilliant, and because when we bought the boat and we bought it back from Wolverston, it's the end piece that connects to the tiller snapped. The bit of the black plastic that slots in, it snapped. And luckily my good friend Vince is an engineer, metal engineer, and he went and fabricated me a new piece, and this was the first time we had it back, so we got that on, and that was such a big relief to have that on. And wow, what a difference it makes to be able to put an auto tiller on and you know, be able to walk around, do things, help mum out. It was, you know, that was very good. But it was gusting, it was choppy. So you can see in the shots, it's you know, the camera never does it justice, but it was you know, I would say it was probably 2-3 meter waves, howling 25 to 30 sometimes winds, but the boat handled it beautifully. Really impressed with it. Motor was smooth as a button. Once we got about halfway out, or less than halfway out, the tide was with us, so we picked up speed considerably. So we were about 3 knots on the way out, and once we got a bit more out into the channel with the tides, we picked quickly up to 5.5, 6 knots. So really good trip. So you know, here's the rest of the shots of us getting back across. You see us here coming back past Southend Pier, going into the channel now, around past Lee and into Benfleet Creek, and we were back, and that was our trip. So really enjoyed it. It was great to get mum out for the first time on the boat, and as I said, we had a lovely weekend and the boat performed beautifully. So what I'm going to talk about next, sorry about this by the way, my phone keeps going off, is the rigger. So the rigger is came down on Wednesday. It was coming down on Wednesday. So later on in the video, I'll run you through what he was doing and having a look, and I'll see if I can get a few shots of him doing, or I'll do another video like this and add it in. But yeah, he's coming down to check the rigging, and then we're gonna, from what he tells us, whether or not we're gonna have to lift her out and take the mast down, depending on what he says needs replacing and fixing. So I will keep you posted on that. But one thing I did want to talk about was, I said the point of this channel was us to take you along on our journey, talk about things we found hard, things we found difficult. So the big lessons I've learned is, don't trust anybody. I know it sounds harsh, but I wouldn't trust anybody when you're buying a boat. Do not trust the owners. I made the mistake of trusting or you know, building a bit of a rapport with the old owners of the boat and trusting what they were telling me, a lot of which turned out to be not the case. So we bought this boat as a turnkey, meaning that there should have been minimal things for us to do over the winter period before we put it back in. So there should have been things like cleaning the hull, replacing some filters, having the engine serviced, things like that, basic things. It turns out there was a lot more that had to be done that we didn't know to start with. So we had to replace some big parts, I would say. So the gas fridge that we had here is not safe to use in a marine environment. We didn't know that, so we had to basically bin that and buy a new one. So we bought an electric 12-volt fridge. The water heater, which again was another big reason why we bought this boat, because it had hot and cold pressured water. The water heater was also gas, and again, being naive when we bought the boat, we didn't know this, that you couldn't really, not recommended for safety reasons to use those. So that has now been disconnected, and we don't have any hot water on the boat at the moment, only what we can boil from the kettle. So at some point, I don't know, maybe this year, maybe next year, we're going to have to look into maybe replacing it if we feel that we want to. I doubt very much that we will really end up using the shower. I think it's much easier just to use the showers here at the club, or if you're going into a marina or near a marina, use their facilities. But down the line, we had planned that we want to take this boat further afield. We want to maybe get around to the south coast. Devon is somewhere we really want to go. As I mentioned maybe before, the Isles of Scilly is a destination we really want to go to. So those kind of destinations where we are going to be under anchor, and we might want to use the shower. So again, I said we're going to look into what's the options for us, how much it's going to cost, how difficult is it to install a new water heater, is it practical to have it on this boat to start with. So all those things we'll get to in later episodes. But yeah, don't trust the owners. So on top of those things, the rigging obviously is the major one. So we took him for his word when he said you don't need to have a survey. Trust me, I don't care who you're buying the boat off or how good you think it looks, get a survey. For £450, get a survey, because I actually now know if we had have had a survey done on this boat, we probably could have got £3,000 or £4,000 off the price that we paid for it, and that's a big amount of money we could have saved. So yeah, I'd highly recommend getting a survey. The survey would have picked up the problems with the rigging, which we didn't know about. That could have been taken off the price they were asking for the boat. As it is, I have had conversations with the old owner, told them how disappointed I am with the fact that I've got to replace the rigging only after one trip of it being in the water, and they have agreed to pay for the repairs, so that is a plus. But I just wanted to give you guys some advice that if you are buying a boat in the process, get a survey. It's a must-have. Unless it has a very, very recent one, get a survey. If it hasn't had one probably within the last 3 years, I would definitely get one. It's worth the price. It will save you a lot of heartache down the line, which is what I've experienced. I've been quite down over the last week or so. I'm still a little bit nervous as to what the rigger's going to say on Wednesday, but as I said, the owners have agreed to pay, so I'm not overly panicking, because it's not going to cost me anything. But I'm probably going to lose, potentially, if we've got to lift her out, which the club has kindly offered to do at no charge. If we have to lift her out, I don't know how long she's going to be out for, so chances are we're not going to be doing anything significant in the next 2 weeks if she's got to come out. If she doesn't have to come out and is a quick fix, we are going away on the bank holiday weekend, again with the club. There's several boats, and we're going to be sailing around to Brightling Sea, into Brightling Marina, and spending the long weekend there. So that will be a really good trip. So if that does happen, I will keep you posted. There may be potential that if my boat's not ready for that trip, that I may go with Ian on his boat, but I'll let you know, because I might just spend the weekend with the family and not sail that weekend. But I will keep you posted. Again, as I always say, please like, share and subscribe. It really helps us out. We've got a nice following, we've got a good community, it seems. Lots of people leaving comments. I love chatting to you guys, so do feel free to put any comments in. I love answering to them and hearing your thoughts, and it's really quite motivating. So we're going to carry on with this channel and keep posting content. But yeah, like, share and subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.